Hi, welcome to those who are tuning into my channel for the first time, and welcome back to Through Nikki's Lens for those who are returning viewers. So, I told you in my last video that I will be doing a series on express entry. Well, today I am not here alone. I am here with a very special guest who will be sharing her journey with us about how she created her Express Entry profile after studying in Canada, working in Canada for a while, and she got an invitation to apply directly through Express Entry, submitted her application, and became a permanent resident of Canada. So many persons outside of Canada or those that are even inside of the country have entered the Express Entry pool or desire to enter the pool, but their scores are low. Many persons look to various avenues, including the Provincial Nomination Program, that's PNP, or even the Atlantic Immigration Program, just as a way to maybe increase their points in relation to the PNP or to find another pathway that does not require for them to sit in a pool like the express entry pool and wait for an invitation to apply when the points are so high when an invitation to apply is issued by IRCC. There were some persons that were blessed enough to get their permanent residency before the scores climbed to the high 400s or the being at 500 plus. Many people have successfully just stayed in the pool. Eventually, they got an invitation to apply. And my guest is one of those such persons. I am quite eager to hear how she got to achieve this in a time in 2023 when the scores at the latter part of 2023, when the invitation to apply the scores were so high. How did she achieve this? And how maybe you can achieve this one day.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shaneka. I am originally from Jamaica. I came to Canada in January of 2022, but before that, I was an international student. I started and completed my MBA in Jamaica online because of the global pandemic and the closure of the borders when travel was restricted. And so even though after a while the government of Canada had opened the borders and persons were able to travel, I did an analysis and realized that because financially it would have made sense for me to stay in Jamaica, complete the program, and then to land in Canada. So that's what I did. But before I came here in Jamaica, I had also completed a master's degree. So I had a master's degree in economics from Jamaica, and I had approximately 10 years of work experience with the government of Jamaica. Um, what we were doing, it's really a niche. It's project management, but it's really a niche area. We did privatization, and so when I was looking at how that would fit into the NOC codes and the specific job, it wouldn't fit typically under project management. So that's why I said it was niche. We were basically doing business development or economic business development. So that should have been the area that I was able to fit that under. But we'll speak on that as we progress. So as I said, I had a master's degree before coming to Canada, and I had approximately 10 years of experience in Jamaica. Job I had required a first degree, so that job would have allowed me to gain points as well. When I landed in Canada, having completed my MBA from a Canadian university, in about 14 days, approximately 2 weeks after landing, I started working my first job in Canada. So I worked in the operations department of a capital market or a stock brokerage firm. So the job that I had on the face of it, it was not a job that fall in tier 1 2 3 that would have allowed me to receive the requirements for the Canadian Experience class, but there were functions in that job because a lot of what we do on a daily basis, there were administrative tasks. So we were printing and scanning and sending emails and answering the telephone. So all of those job descriptions, we were able to fit them under the administrative assistant category. So when I, like many persons, especially us Jamaicans, what the schools and the consultants and everybody would have sold us is that you come to Canada, study. At the end of your program, you apply for a work permit, you work for 1 year, and that would qualify you to apply for permanent residency. So from before I came here, that was my mindset. I'm going to complete the program, apply for my postgraduate work permit, work 1 year, and then apply for my permanent residency. So I started working on the 10th of February 2022, which meant that by the 10th of February 2023, I would have accumulated the 1 year and be able to apply for permanent residency. I've probably done other videos on this, the express entry system and how is it that the government select persons. So normally every 2 weeks they'd have draws. So I'm always following up to see where what are the minimum cutoff points to see where I lie versus where they're cutting off. Um, Honestly, when I calculated my scores, I was like 470 something in the low 470s. So
Mm.
I was a bit nervous because they were at 500 or 490 something. So I was always a bit nervous that hey, I might not be getting this thing. And so um, I started looking at other options, and other persons would have said to me, "Why not try PNP?" Nikki would have said to me, "Why not try PNP?" So, whenever I started researching PNP because I didn't know much about it, I
Mhm.
always felt as if this was not the road for me. So, like 5 minutes in researching, I gave up.
Like a lot of persons.
Yeah, I'm like, this definitely is not the road for me. And so I really did not get very far in the research for the provincial nominees. I don't know much about it. But one of the good thing, and sometimes we are in certain situations and like we're asking God to just take us out of the situation, and He's
Yeah.
leaving us in the situation. And that was the case for me with my job. I loved the persons that I worked with. But as I said, on the face of the job, it did not qualify me for Canadian experience class. And it didn't pay well. But we want the money. And so, I
Yes.
tried to get out of that job. I tried to move to another department. I tried to move to another company, but God was just not having it. And while I was at that job, there were persons around me that were getting invitations. So there were persons in my department that was going through the process. And
Same
so
positions as you?
exact same
It's,
position, same salary, same job
yeah.
title, doing the same thing
Wow.
every day. So they were getting the invitations. And then the thing about it is that most of them were young people and they love to share. So they
Okay.
would come and they would be sharing their story. So that's the first time I heard about the selfie because persons were preparing and they said, okay, they're going to do the selfie. We would have known IELTS from Jamaica.
Right.
And so persons were just preparing, going through the process, persons were getting invitations. And so I learned so much about the express entry process because there were persons in the same department as me that they were going through it. And
Mhm.
so by the time I got to my 1 year, which was February 10, 2023, it was time to create my profile. But mentally, I was not ready. I was not ready. And so I created my profile and entered the pool on the 5th of April. On the 5th of April, I created my profile and I entered the pool, and I was at 470. I don't remember the exact score at the time. I was at 470 something. But
Mhm.
then my partner needed to do the English test. So I
Okay.
created a profile, but his English test was not yet done. So once he did the test, I updated my profile to include his scores, and
Mhm.
I end up my score now is 487.
Okay.
So the score that I had, this is now by May, because I'd have entered the pool in April 5th. So by May, sometime late May, my score was now recalculated and I was at 487 points. But they were my colleagues were getting draws, and like every 2 weeks, somebody else. And
Yes.
so it was
Wow.
exciting. And the funny thing about it is that 1 year and 2 months, I moved out of the department into an outright position that would have allowed me to get the pension
Interesting.
1 year and 2 months when I no longer needed it.
Wow. All
and
right.
and so now we are at late May,
Mm-hmm.
and I am 487 points. On the 24th of May, they had a draw, and the cutoff score was 488. I am 487. The cutoff is 488.
Wow.
May 24th.
So sorry to interrupt, but that seems as if you had no room for error because we all know, say for example, you put something in the profile and when they are going through your application, they feel okay, this is not, you shouldn't have gotten the points for that, and you lose points, that automatically means that your application will be refused. So
Yeah, yeah.
how did you feel?
But so remember, at this time I didn't get the invitation because I was 1 point
Mhm.
less.
Oh,
So
less.
I am
Okay.
487, and the cutoff was 488.
488. Oh, I
So,
see.
so,
Yes.
so the very Wednesday,
Hmm.
because the draws are normally on a Wednesday,
Yes.
I went home and I cried.
Oh.
I curled up my bed and because so close,
Yeah.
so
One
close.
point.
And to make matters worse, so we're now at the end of May, and
Hmm.
by 2 weeks in June would be my birthday, where I'm going to lose 5 points.
Yeah.
Okay, so I only have 2 weeks to get the draw. So we're at the 24th of May, and I did not receive the invitation because I didn't reach the minimum cutoff score. So 2 weeks later, all the excitement, and we are ready to hear what the cutoff score is.
Yeah.
On the 7th of June would have been the Wednesday when they would normally issue the invitation.
Hmm.
7th of June at about 2:30 PST, which would be Vancouver time, I remember getting ready to go home and there was no draw. I didn't receive an invitation and I didn't see anything that they had any selection. So
Yes.
a colleague of mine said to me, "Have you ever seen a draw on a Thursday?" And I said, "Yes." I remember once they had a PNP draw the Wednesday and then they had the all
Adjust.
programs on the
Yeah.
Thursday. So she
Right.
said to me, "Don't worry, Thursday will be your day." And so I went home to cry because I'm like, God, this is 2 weeks later.
Yes.
In 3 days will be my birthday. So I'm gonna
Birthday.
lose
Hmm.
5 points. So you took me 1 point away 2 weeks ago, and now you're
Yes.
gonna take me 6 points away 2 weeks later. So I went home to cry again. But I have a friend, she was in the pool as well. And the reality is that she was like at 453. So she was even further down than
Farther.
I was.
Yeah.
But she said to me, "You know what? God is working it out. Let
Yes.
us not worry about it. God is working it out." And that was why I didn't cry. Because, okay, God, you are working it
The
out.
support you needed. Yeah. Reassurance.
So the Thursday morning, the 8th of June, I get up, get ready for work as usual. So I at the time I'd have taken the Canada line to work. So I'm taking the Canada line from Richmond to downtown Vancouver, from one end terminus to the other terminus. And for the entire journey on the train, I'm talking to God. And I'm talking out loud. And I'm like, person beside me must be saying, this girl is crazy. Because I'm like, God, what is happening? What are you going to do? What am I going to do? What is happening? And so, I went to work and I remember I had an 8 o'clock appointment with my doctor, but I
Hmm.
didn't remember if it was a Teams meeting or if it was a phone call. So 10 minutes to 8, I went into my emails to see what the communication was from my doctor. And at 10 minutes to 8 on the 8th of June, 2023, there was an email from IRCC in my inbox as
Wow.
a notification in my portal. I signed into my portal and my hands were shaking. When I signed into my portal, it was the invitation that I was invited. The
Wow.
cutoff score was 486, Remember, I am
Wow.
487.
Yes. So
Cutoff
one
was
point bill.
1 point below mine. So remember, 2 weeks ago it was
Wow.
1 point above.
Above.
2 weeks
Yes.
later it's 1 point below.
Wow.
And I tell you, I get up from my decks and I went into the bathroom and I wanted to scream, but I just couldn't because I was at work. So I really
Hmm.
couldn't scream. But as I said, because by this time I had transferred out of my previous department. But on Teams, I immediately send messages to my friends from the other department. I got the
Hmm.
invitation, with all the excitement. And
Yes.
what I did, because as I said, 2 days later would have been my birthday, and I'm going to
Yes.
lose 5 points. So I downloaded the letter because I wanted to see what it says about losing points because of
Point.
your birthday. So when
Hmm.
I downloaded the letter, there was a section on the letter that says that if when you recalculate, you fall below the minimum cutoff score, then you have to reject the invitation and go back into the pool.
Hmm.
Only time you can continue to submit is if your
If
points
it's,
fall because of a birthday,
oh,
because of a
interesting. Because
and
of a birthday.
right. So
Fair.
if your
Yes.
birthday comes and your points fall below the minimum cutoff, you can still go ahead and submit.
Submit. Okay.
But the thing is that because I was conscious of everything, I had gathered almost all the documents because I was
Before.
ready to submit in 2 days. The only thing that I really had that should have probably taken time was the medical. So I hadn't done the
Hmm.
medical and I was looking for appointments and I could not find any appointment to fit within. So that should have been the only drawback. But I was ready to
Yes.
submit without the medical and then upload it via web form. That was so I got the invitation on the 8th of June,
Hmm.
2023, thank, thankfully.
Yes.
So as I said, I had started gathering my documents.
Hmm.
So when you create your profile, you're awarded points for certain sections. So the sections that you're awarded points for, you need to provide documentation to prove that you have them.
Right.
So in terms of education, I'd have in my profile, I'd have indicated that I did a Canadian MBA. So now I needed to
Hmm.
provide transcript, the copy of the MBA, the certificate to show
Yes.
that I have that. I would have claimed points for my 1 year Canadian work experience. So now I need to provide a job letter from my company to show that.
Yes.
I claim points for my English score. So I'd have to provide the CELPIP certificate. Same thing for the job that I claim points for in Jamaica. So
Yes.
whatever it is that you'd have gotten points for, you have to provide the necessary documentation.
Document. Right.
Um, so as I would have mentioned earlier, identifying the exact knock code for your job might be challenging because there are some jobs that are not outright a knock code job. So I wasn't an
Yes.
accountant. I'm not going to find an accountant. At the time, as I said, I worked in the operations or the back office of a capital market firm as a securities administrator. I don't even think I could have found that on the knock code. But because we perform a lot of administrative tasks, we were able to fit that into an administrative assistant and then we use
Okay.
that knock code.
Knock on.
For the
Hmm.
job that I claimed points for in Jamaica, as I said before, so based on all the functions that we carried out, I'd have just gone through the knock code, look at different jobs, look at what the description is based on IRCC, and try to find the one that would fit in. And
Yes.
then the preparation of the letter. So the good thing for me, as I said, there were persons in the same company, same department,
Hmm.
same position that was going through the same process.
Right.
And so they would have received the letter from the company.
Hmm.
So it was that letter, based on the format and the information that was included in that letter, that I used to draft the letter that I wanted from Jamaica. Because the
Okay.
persons in the company that have already gotten approval using this format. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
IRCC does accept this format.
Yes.
So because I wasn't sure if my previous company in Jamaica would know exactly how to format the letter, I drafted the
Hmm.
letter myself.
Right.
So I drafted the letter to state exactly what I wanted in the letter, and then I would have reached out to them for them to put it on the letterhead and for them to sign it because the letter has to be on the official letterhead of the company and
Right.
signed by an authorized representative of the company for it to be accepted by
Hmm.
IRCC. So I had my job letters, I had the transcript and my degrees, I had done the self tip, so I had the certification, with all the other things, you upload your the bio page of your passport,
Yes.
photograph if you're applying for your family. So if you're applying for yourself, partner, and children, then you'd have to do the same thing as well
Right.
for whatever points you're getting from your partner. So if your partner had a degree, then you need to upload that. If your partner has Canadian experience, you'd upload that. For the English test as well, you'd upload that. For the minor kids, all you need is just passport and birth
Birth
certification. But they need to
certificate.
show the relationship that this person is
Yeah.
actually your child.
Your child. Yeah.
So I was able to do the medical sometime early June. Got the invitation 8th of June. So we did the medical. I think about the 15th of June, we did the
You
medical.
weren't wasting any
I was
time.
not wasting any time. And so when we did medical, so the adults would have to do um, um so IRCC has a panel of physicians. So you select
Yes.
somebody on that list, and then you make your appointment and you do the medical. So you see the doctor would perform the physical examination, and then the adults would have to do blood works, and it was X-ray, I think it was.
Chest
Yes,
X-ray.
chest,
Yes.
chest
And the kids don't
X-ray.
do
But
that.
the kids
Right.
don't do that part. So the kids is just
Mhm.
physically examined by the doctor, but they're not required to do the X-ray and the blood work.
The blood work. Right.
And there's a cost to this. So when you're looking at your PR journey, medical is a cost. So you have to factor that
Hmm.
into the cost, and it's not cheap,
Yes.
especially if
No.
you're doing it for a family.
Yes.
It's not cheap. So we gathered all the documents. As I said, the medical would have been the last one. We did the medical on about the 15th of June, and we submitted our documents on the 23rd of June. So we got the invitation June 8th, and we submitted
Wow.
June 23rd. I wanted
No.
my PR December 31st. In 2024, I should start as a permanent resident of Canada.
Wow.
I was
That
on a
was
roll.
quick. That is preparation because I took a while to get everything together. We in advance we did some things, but there were other things like we were in the midst of a move as well. So we took about a month to put everything together and submit. So you really wasted no time at
And,
all.
as I said, I think it's because everybody around me was doing
Was
it.
doing it. Okay.
My
Well
colleagues
prepared
were
and
doing it.
trained.
So,
Hmm.
so I knew what to expect because as I said, they
Okay.
talk and we talk to each other.
Yes.
And if somebody reach a point and they don't know what to do, then we talk about it.
It's
So I would have known that I needed a police record from Jamaica
right.
because I did that even before I entered the pool. I
Hmm.
did I got the documents FedEx them to Jamaica even before I entered the pool for the police record because we
Right.
know that it's valid for 1 year.
And if you
And
don't have plans to go back to the country, it's fine.
right. And by the
Yes.
grace of God, I was getting that PR last year. And so, as I said, I started collecting all the documents. So we submitted June 23rd, and
Hmm.
then it's the wait time. So we had June, July, August, September, October. So the first time I heard anything now was October. So in
Wow. Okay.
October, I got I keep checking in my portal. So when I went in the
Hmm.
portal in October, I think it's about the 5th of October, I'd have seen an update where it says that I passed the medical.
That's
We passed the medical. So the family
okay.
passed the medical. So that was October the 5th. At 1 day later, we got the request letter for biometrics.
Hmm.
Because what happened is that prior to June 14, because of the pandemic, persons were not required to do biometrics. But
If they
then
did it before, right?
if they had done it before, if you had some
Right.
biometrics before.
Yes.
So IRCC that came out with new releases that if you
Hmm.
submit your application after June 14, you are now required to do biometric. And again, this is another cost, so you have to budget for this
I
as well.
know. Yes.
So we got the biometric request letter on, I think it was October 5th, like the day after I saw that we passed the medical.
Okay.
So you got a letter that tells you exactly what to do, where to go to make your appointment, to do the biometric. If it's a case that you're applying for a family, but not all members of the family are in Canada, then it gives you exactly what to do because you'd have to pay for it separately so that the person
Okay.
outside of Canada can receive a separate letter from the ones that are in Canada. So, like I think it's 2 or 3 days later, I did my biometric. And again, this was another benefit from the fact that I had persons that were going through the process, because I
Okay.
remember um, my colleague said to me that she got the biometric requested, and she said, "Don't worry about it. There's a Services Canada over North Van. Just take the sea bus and go across in your
Yes.
lunchtime. You don't even need to request time off, and you can eat your lunch on the sea bus on your way home. When you get off the bus, it's 4 minutes to walk and you reach Services Canada."
Okay.
So that's exactly what I did. I didn't even need to research anything
I
because
know,
somebody
right?
would have gone through the process. She said that. So I did my
Mhm.
biometrics. At the time, my partner was outside of Jamaica, so he had to do his biometric in Jamaica.
Okay.
So all of that was done in October. The latter part of October now, we got another notification, and this is the time when they were about to set up the PR portal for us.
Portal one, I think they
So
call
the
that one.
portal one. So
Yeah.
on October 26th, we have got the portal one email, which advises us that they're going to set up a portal, but we need to confirm if we're in Canada
Hmm.
and our address. And then there are some other questions that you answer, like your height, your weight, your eye color. So they had a questionnaire that they asked you to fill out and to confirm that you're physically present in Canada. If you are not physically present in Canada, to give an idea of when you will return to Canada
Okay.
and what is the physical address that you are in Canada. So we
Hmm.
did that, submitted the response to the email, waiting, then we wait for Portal 2 email. So we
Yes.
got that, I think, October 27th
Okay.
or 26th, but Portal 2 email came sometime in November. I think it was probably around the 12th of November.
Hmm.
So the 12th of November is when we got the Portal 2 email with the instructions now to go into the portal. This is where now we'll upload our photograph, confirm our address for the PR card to be printed and for the
Right.
card to be mailed out. So pretty much by the time you get to Portal One, you would have realized that you're being approved, because there's
Right.
no way
They
that they
wouldn't
would have,
request that.
yeah, they would have requested that if it's a case
Right.
that your submission would be rejected.
Yes.
So then we got the two, upload the photographs, and it's waiting time. But so we're in November. And as I said, 31st of December, I want to be a permanent resident of Canada.
The direct code.
31st. But that didn't happen. So we ended December and
Mhm.
nothing. We didn't get any notification. We didn't get anything from IRCC. But as God would have it, on the 4th of January 2024, we got the notification that our PR application has been approved and that we are now permanent residents of Canada. Finally.
I
it's,
know that
it's
golden
different
email,
when you
right?
say that you're a permanent resident.
Yes. Yes.
So we got the confirmation on January 4th. Last week was when I actually got my PR card. So it took a while
Yeah.
to actually receive the PR card. Yeah.
In a pretty interesting story. Pretty interesting story because one of the things that I noticed, like, you were blessed. That is the best way to put it, because so many people are in Canada right now and they are trying to figure out, what do I do to stay in Canada? Because the point is, we all came, or a lot of us came here, and our aim is to become a permanent resident eventually. And you're on a work permit or whatever it is, a post graduation work permit, and time is running out, and you're trying to figure out, what do I do next?
Yeah.
But I am happy that you had that experience, that you got that blessing, because a lot of persons are really trying to figure out what to do. And the whole thing is that express entry doesn't seem possible for a good number of people, because the scores are extremely high right now.
Yeah. And if
And
you're up in age as well, because
yes.
when you get to a particular age, you no longer get points for that. And that's a challenge for a lot of people.
Right. So people have to be creative, and that we have always been talking in various groups. Being strategic is key, but you are a testimony that it is still possible to get your PR through express entry and not having to go to like a provincial nomination, maybe not having to utilize what they call that other the rural northern program because people are trying to
Yeah.
find a way to stay in Canada. And do you think the scores will ever like decrease to a point where persons can comfortably apply, go in the pool and wait and have some sort of hope that they'll get an invitation to apply without another pathway to use to even the PNP to get an additional 600 points?
I mean, based on what I'm seeing now, because I thought that after last year, that's where they were heading. But you
Hmm.
know what happened last year? I think for sometime between October and November, they had no draw like for a month.
Yes.
And then when they came back, the scores went up so high. I'm like, what is happening? I mean, I know persons who are at 501 right now. Their score is 501, and we thought that they would have gotten the invitation last year because based on what the scores were trending down. And that didn't happen. That didn't happen because by the time they entered the pool, then
Uh-huh.
there's this 1 month that they did not
No,
have
no
any
draws.
draw. And then the scores just went up. And like right now, I think they're still 530 something based on the last one.
I
So
have stopped monitoring. It's a
since
lot.
I'm no longer needed to monitor,
Yes, you kind of,
yeah, I have stopped. But it's going to be really really challenging. I, I had a colleague. She was in the pool for 2 years, and what helped her was that now she had 2 years Canadian experience,
Oh, so the score
and
is
then
increased.
her first language is not English, so it is on her
Hmm.
third try of the self-pick that she got a better score. So she
Wow.
did the selfie 3 times, and then that caused their score to move up to like 490 something at the time. So she was
Hmm.
able to get the invitation, but it's really going to be challenging. It's really going to be
I
challenging.
that's what I'm anticipating too. And with all the changes that IRCC is making, I guess they have to because the housing crisis is real. The fact
Yeah,
that there are so many people here unemployed, they have to do something to reduce the number of people that they're bringing in into the country and confirming them as permanent residents, I suppose. So maybe this is a strategy, but then you have to wonder what will happen to those who are already here.
yeah. Because I remember in 2022, a few of my friends went ahead and they did the upfront medical and they did their selfies early because they were thinking and preparing for a TR to PR because they thought the
Yes.
government should have come out with one, but then that didn't
Hmm.
happen. That didn't happen at all. But there are lots of international students who are just sitting there waiting,
Yes.
hoping that something will happen.
Hoping.
And it's not.
What are your perspectives, though, like strategies that people can utilize? Because, now we have category, well, IRCC has category based draws. What do you think persons can do or recommendations that persons can do to potentially get an invitation to apply in one of those occupations?
Yeah,
Maybe
so
healthcare or so?
yeah, especially in the healthcare because that's an area that they really need persons. So
Hmm.
if persons are able to pivot and if it's probably they need to do a certification course that should allow them to at least land their first job, then they
Yes.
have to look at that as well. I know a lot of persons talk about doing the French because normally that has the lowest score, but
Yes.
I don't know how easy it is to learn a
To
second language to
learn.
actually go do an exam in that
Yes.
language. But they really have to look at the category based draws, see which of the categories they can easily get into based on what their qualifications and their experiences are, or if it's a
Hmm.
case that they have to just do a course that will allow them to get into one of those categories. Um, as you would have known, PNP as well. So some persons who may have an interest in doing the provincial nominee, they may even
Yeah.
need to move to other provinces where it is easier for them to get a nomination. So they really have to do the research, look at their individual situations, and see how best
Hmm.
they can find a solution.
But do you think there is hope like outside of that though? Because hmm, how
I don't
many
know. Like,
people
like
can really change?
I remember my because most of my colleagues would have been international students, So I
Yes.
remember, like we every day we're like the government just need to do something specifically
For students,
for international
my
students. Just
students.
do
Yeah.
something so you can cut down the numbers on those that are in the pool. Just do something. You're
Mhm.
doing draws specifically for
And even
international students,
CEC
or
to bring
even just
back that
right, because
that
you have these
category.
particular based draws. At times they have PNP only draws, so you can just have a
Yes.
CEC only draw as well.
That would be the golden answer for
Yeah.
these challenges that persons are facing. But since we don't want to end on a somber mood because we know that things can turn around, what are
Mhm.
some advice that you would want to leave, some tips in terms of your express entry journey, preparing? What do you need to do to prepare yourself and keeping positive with that hope that maybe, hopefully soon, you will get that invitation to apply.
Yeah. So one of the thing is research. So you do your research, so you're
Hmm.
knowledgeable about the process. Some persons may not be able to do the process themselves, so they may need the help of a consultant. That's okay. But do
Right.
your research. If you know persons that have gone through the process as well, speak to them, reach out to them, because I'm sure persons are willing to help. And having gone
Yes.
through it, they would have had the experience of going through it. Don't give up. Stay the course. Stay the course and don't give up. And just believe that one day it will work out. You know what my journey taught me, and I remember everybody I speak about my journey, this is what I tell them. What my journey taught me is to trust God's timing. Is to trust God's timing. Because as I said, it was 2 days before my birthday that I got the invitation. 2 days
Yes.
before Louis, I would have lost 5 points. And I don't think they went below that since. I think 2 weeks
Say,
after
oh,
they still stayed at
it
the
in,
486. I
hmm
don't think they have gone lower than that
it increased,
since,
right?
since then. So irrespective of where you are, irrespective of what your situation is or where you are on your journey, just try to stay positive. I remember the morning that I got my invitation because I have recently moved, so I am currently on the job market. And I remember the morning I was a bit down because I'm like, okay, I'm not hearing anything from any of the jobs that I applied to. And I remember that very morning I was just still in bed. I didn't get out of bed because I was really feeling down. And because I keep applying to so many jobs, whenever I take up my phone, I'm refreshing my email to see if I have an email for an interview.
The anxiety of PR, right?
And then what I didn't see an email for an interview, but I saw the confirmation for permanent residency.
Hmm.
And that lifted my entire spirit for the day, for the
Okay.
week, for the month. So try to remain as positive as you can, do all that you can, and just leave the rest to God. As I said,
Yes.
my journey taught me to trust in God's timing.
Hmm.
As humans, we want everything to happen, and we want it to happen right now. That's
Yes.
not God's timing for our life. So we just
Right.
have to trust the process, trust Him, and hopefully everything will work out in our favor.
Yes. Yes. I agree with you. The one last question I want to ask: is there a different feeling that you're having knowing that you accomplished that goal, one of your goals of moving to Canada, and you're now a permanent resident? How do you feel about the whole thing?
When even though before because I'd have moved provinces, so even before I moved province, because as I said, we got the portal one, portal two, so we know that our application was heading for approval. So I
Right.
remember when I was moving province, I'm like, okay, if I move and I don't get a job same time, I can always go back to Jamaica and come back because what? I'm a permanent resident.
Right.
They can't lock me out. So it's
Yes,
a
yes.
completely different. I remember the first time I say it out loud that I'm a permanent. It felt so different. There are times when you are applying for a job and it asks what is your status. It's no
Yes.
longer work permit.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely feels differently. And as I said, because from we started the process in Jamaica, we know that this is what we were looking forward to. So we
Yes.
completed school, we applied for the work permit, we get the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now that I have achieved this, and the next
Yeah.
goal now would be the citizenship.
Citizen.
Excuse me. I
Right.
remember talking to a friend and she said to me, well, you have one, your to-do list is getting smaller.
Of course.
So my to-do list has gotten smaller, along
Yes.
this journey. Citizenship, of course, would be the next step. So I'm really happy that I reached this far along the journey. Really
Mm-hmm.
hoping that others can join me here
Yes.
very soon as well. Um, yeah, and then there are things that you probably would want to do that you're not able to do because you weren't a permanent resident or a citizen of Canada. So
Right.
now you're in a position with this title, you can
Mm-hmm.
go for other goals.
Yeah, and at least in BC, I don't know about your new home, your new province. If you are a permanent resident, there are certain supports that you can get in terms of job hunting. At least here, there is is it Work BC
Yes,
that offers
I
the
think they're
service?
one of yes, because I remember when
Yes.
I just got to BC, I did sign up for them and they told me that I wasn't qualified.
Right, because you're not PR or a
Not
citizen,
yeah,
right? And then if you're unemployed, they have that service that you can utilize. If you're employed and you go to them, they're going to say, hey, unfortunately, we can't help you. But there are benefits to being a permanent resident. And
yes,
I am happy that you had that change of status in a timely manner because I can imagine how you were beginning to feel hopeful. But yeah, it all worked out and it can work out for others as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me in this series, the first video of the series. And it was quite an insightful experience. And I'm happy you got the opportunity to share it with and a wider audience. And I hope that somebody will be inspired and encouraged by what you shared and be hopeful, remain hopeful that it may be able to happen to you one day.
okay. And thank you very much for holding down this space as well, because you're providing information for persons who are on the journey, so they are able to be informed. So thank you for having
Okay.
me.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for making it through Nikki's Lens, and I'll see you in my next video.